Welcome to Vol Talk. I'm your host, Ali La Rosa. Today, we're sitting down with Alexia Amobi and Afia Apoku, the president and vice president of UT's chapter of the National Society of Black Women in Medicine, an organization that works to increase the recruitment and retention of Black women pursuing broad careers in medicine and promoting the advancement of those already established in these fields. But first, we're going to check in with students in Circle Talk.
What percentage of minorities on campus do you think are actively pursuing medicine right now?
I would say like 15%.
I would assume that, I don't know. I know that like 80% of UTK is like white, so I would assume that like as a flat number, probably not that many.
Maybe 10%.
About like, I don't know, 25%, I believe. I believe it's some more skyrocketing like other people than like minorities, so I'm not sure. I'm not a pre-med, so.
Do you know of any student organizations that are supporting those students?
I don't.
No, I haven't heard of any, but I know that is a lot of organizations that will help you find one, or you can create one yourself. So yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. If you guys want to talk about who you are, what the organization is about, I'll let you guys go first.
Hi, my name is Alexia Amobi. I am a sophomore nutrition major with a minor in public health on the pre-med track. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and yeah, I'm interested in pursuing a career in gastroenterology once I graduate.
Hi, my name is Afia Apoku. I'm also a sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm studying biochemistry and molecular biology on the pre-med track, and the field I'm interested in is pediatric neurology.
And I serve.
So tell me about the organization, what it entails, how many people are in the group already?
Yeah, so the National Society of Black Women in Medicine is an organization that works to curate the resources necessary for women of color pursuing various careers in healthcare. So through unity, mentorship, and connecting us with individuals who are already established in those careers. We currently have roughly 80 members. We started this year. I came about starting the organization last semester, but we're now established, so this is our first year on campus, and yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Of course.
Pertaining to that, we serve members that are not just interested in just pre-med, we serve pre-dental, pre-pharmacy, epidemiology, PAs, people who want to go into any aspect of the health field is what we're here for.
It's awesome. So as you said that you guys are interested in two different things. What is something interesting that you've learned from the other people in the organization that aren't on the same path as you?
Yeah, for me, we have one girl who's interested in epidemiology and like the research aspect. She was just letting me know about how, as an epidemiologist, you don't really have to go to med school, which was really interesting to me because, you know, I understand that med school is not a must for all the majors or like career paths people are wishing to pursue, but you would think epidemiology, with like working with such rigorous viruses, diseases, and stuff like that, going to med school would be a must, but her pathway is really interesting to me.
That's awesome. Can you define what that job is?
Yes, epidemiology. Epidemiologist is someone who works with diseases and illnesses within a population. So I know there was a spike in epidemiologists because of like COVID and stuff like that. So that's what she told me spiked her interest in that.
Okay, awesome. So what has been your favorite part of the organization so far?
I think my favorite part is the community, and that's the whole reason we started the organization. Being on a predominantly white institution, it can be a bit challenging, a bit tasking. I know in my first year I did struggle. When you're pursuing a STEM career, it feels like that community isn't to be found, but I'm glad that I was able to find that community and that we've been able to build together. And although we're not interested probably in the same careers, we don't have the same majors, but we're still working towards a common goal, and everyone wants to help people in the science field, and yeah, we're able to like uplift one another in this journey.
It's amazing. So you mentioned how we're a predominantly white school, you'd say. What advice would you give to people who want to advocate for Black women in medicine who don't feel the same struggles?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first step is education, educating yourself on the disparities that are within the health field or even just on this campus. I know for me personally, I walk into like my bio class, my bio lit, my chem class, and it's like I'm the only Black woman in this class, and it's really discouraging, like Alexia had said. So just making sure you're not spiting anyone, or making sure that you're always being inclusive, making sure it's not as disparaging as it may look.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say when it comes to like education and like inclusivity, there's lots of statistics out there when it comes to child mortality rates and like women who have higher susceptibility to passing in comparison to white women, or just Black women who get matched into just family medicine residency programs and not specializations as opposed to like their counterparts. There's just like so much information in regards to every sector, undergrad, graduate, and once you eventually go on to residency or you go into like practicing. So yeah, just like looking at statistics, because some people may say like, oh, well, maybe this is just something that you're like feeling, but there is evidence like that supports our emotions. So I think that's another thing to add on.
So as you said, you're the only Black woman in your class. How does that feel?
It's really, you know, it's a double-edged sword, because me, when I see that, it's like, okay, I have to work twice as hard to like, because I'm carrying the weight of, you know, not being the only like Black person, but being the only Black woman.
Right.
So it's kind of motivating in that sense, but then it's also like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. You know, it's not my weight of the world to be carrying on my back. You know, that's how I feel about it.
Exactly. For other people that in your situation that feel that, what advice would you give for them dealing with that?
Yeah, I would just say try your best, talk to people, because just because it may look disparaging doesn't mean like everyone's against you. Like, that's not what we're trying to convey here. It's just making sure that you're advocating for what's best for you, making sure you're getting the help that you need. If you're struggling in a class, don't look at it like, oh, there's no one that looks like me here, I can't get any help anywhere. Making sure that you're actually taking steps for yourself. And then also educating your peers around you, being like, I may be the only Black one here, that doesn't mean that, you know, we're any less than you. Like, just making sure that people are around you know.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be your responsibility to represent a whole demographic, especially like being a woman, especially that. You talked about some obstacles that you faced. What are some obstacles in the group, or sorry, in the organization that you faced since you guys are so new?
I think the biggest one would definitely be funding. Right now we're just operating off of like fundraising and dues, which hasn't kickstarted yet. Like, we're still in the process of collecting dues. We're still in the process of setting up fundraisers. So starting from scratch and starting dry is difficult when you're trying to push out things such as certifications, clinical opportunities, seminars, just different things that are costly. So when you don't have the money for it, it can be hard. And we have like reached out, trying to do collaborations, partnerships, seeking ways to have some funding to start off. But I think that has been like a pretty big challenge on campus. But yeah, I'd say that's like probably the biggest one.
So who would be your dream collaboration?
I know, as we look on, like, we haven't really said it, but we're not the only chapter like in the United States. We're one of course, about 20-ish chapters. And when we look at how they do their stuff, collabing with like the arts and sciences, advising arts and sciences as a whole, because our club is obviously science related. So that would probably be our dream collaboration, because it'll really give us a lot of exposure. And that's one of the first things as a either pre-health or pre-det or pre-professional track like that, those were one of the first emails you receive from the Arts and Sciences Advising or Arts and Sciences College. So being able to get that exposure with them would be really, really cool to see.
So why did you guys get into medicine, so to speak?
Yeah, so for me, mine sparked during the COVID-19 pandemic. I was interested in healthcare, but I was kind of all across the board. I was interested in pharmacy at a point, dentistry, because my older sister does dentistry right now, but I was like, I don't know what the best fit for me is. And so during the COVID-19 pandemic, I was able to realize that, like, since there was so much going on with the world, especially in regards to epidemiology, like Afia said, I was like, okay, I really need to crack down and realize what it is that I want to look after. For me, it wasn't more so like, oh, I want to be a doctor. It's more so like, what field am I able to help people in the best and actually like enjoy what I do? And so like from my father's side, they have like pretty bad gastrointestinal health, and that's been something that's trickled down to me. And so I was like, what is a doctor that deals with gut health? Gastroenterologist. And so that's kind of how my story started. I really like the way that your gut functions and understanding the best way is to like optimize good gut health. That's why I majored in nutrition, to better understand how both a good and bad diet are able to positively or negatively affect your overall health, not just your gut health, but your mental health as well. And like looking towards the future, just dealing with things like hemorrhoids, colon cancer screenings, colonoscopies are things that are very necessary for any demographic to be able to like target, so that your overall health stays where it needs to be.
So while you're accomplishing those goals, how has the organization helped you further that?
I would say the community for first. Like being on this campus, sometimes it's hard to think like, oh, this is attainable. But when you have people around you, like-minded women who are pursuing like various careers, it's like, okay, this is something that we are able to accomplish. Connecting us with professionals who are already established in these fields is something that helps as well. So it's like, yes, this journey is tasking. Yes, this journey is hard. Yes, there's obstacles, but that's like anything that you do in life. So seeing that there's women established in those fields to give us that knowledge and give us that advice for where we're going is something that has really helped. You want to add on to that?
Yeah, I guess I'll start by saying my story. I was really interested in medicine because, similar to Alexia, like growing up, I knew I wanted to work in the healthcare field. That was always a goal of mine. It really specified for me. I played soccer throughout, middle school, high school, and on my senior year, I tore my meniscus, and I was out for the rest of the season.
Wow.
Yeah. After that, a few weeks after like recovering and stuff, my knee still was really hurting, and I went to Dr. Google, and asked why it was hurting, and the main response I got was the perineal nerve that runs through the knee, and that was just really interesting to me to see that one tiny little optic nerve, that tiny little nerve can just cause so much pain, and that just really spiraled me into like getting more into like how the neurons function in your body, and it just spiraled into like Alzheimer's, dementia, stuff like that. So that's just really started my interest in stuff like that. And then pediatric, because I love kids. My pediatrician was really great. He always made me feel comfortable, like even though he was like a man and I was a girl, me and my sisters,
But still, it's those people that we meet in life that can impact so much further down the line. Do you have anybody like that in your life? I know you mentioned your sister. She's dentistry, right?
Yes.
Correct, yeah.
Like in regards to healthcare, or just like, yeah, my sister for sure. Like just seeing how passionate she is about dentistry, periodontics specifically, and like tackling gum disease. I just think that's like really interesting. Teeth are not something that I find interesting. It's kind of squirmy to me, but just seeing the passion she has for it and just helping patients feel better when they like leave her office is something I truly admire. So like regardless of what you're pursuing in healthcare, just knowing that you're able to help someone feel better, like when they leave, look better, it's just a really good feeling.
Right. And I know you mentioned gut health, and gut health is a big talk on TikTok. And what advice would you give to somebody trying to figure out gut health? Because there's so many foods and products that are now a thing, and we don't realize that the after effects of them long term.
Yeah, we talked about this in psychology actually last week. We had to do a jigsaw presentation. So a jigsaw presentation is just a topic of your interest where you relate to psychology. So I did mental health and gut health and how the two connect. And there was this illustration of intestines, and then like they drew like soil, and then it connected to your brain. And I thought it was a really good illustration. It was pretty spot on that your mental health and your gut health and your gut health and your mental health, like they're intertwined and they both affect one another. But yeah, I know we see a lot of stuff on TikTok, and you'll see stuff like chlorophyll, like liquid chlorophyll. I know we talked about it yesterday. You're able to put that in your like water, and like that optimizes gut health. That gives you more energy. Just different things like that. Sometimes we feel like we're doctors already, but I mean,
I'm learning. So.
Yeah, staying away from all the brands, all the Panda, all the stuff on the strip that is high in carbs, high in fats, dairy. Red meat doesn't digest well in our bodies. Leaning more towards like chicken and fish, eating vegetables, greens are good source of iron, like kale. Just trying to make sure, I think the biggest thing is to make sure that you're having a well-rounded diet. Like I know some people say like, oh, I just juice, or like I have a military diet. And that's not necessarily the case. Like you can still eat what you want, but eat in moderation. So have your vegetables, have your carbohydrate, and things like that.
Right.
So yeah.
So as college students, some are in dorms, some are in apartments, some can't afford to buy those healthy things. What do you think we should do to make ourselves get that healthy lifestyle when it's not as affordable sometimes?
Yeah, my aspect is kind of more just to exercise because, you know, there's joint stuff like that.
Right.
I would say, you know, Tennessee is a walking campus. Like everything is a hill. So
Oh, I know. I'm from Florida, and that was a shock.
Everything is a hill. So making sure you're actually like, you know, using that to your benefit. You know, sometimes it's not just like going for a run. Maybe you can go for, I'm an RA in Brown, you call it a hot girl walk. You go outside and have a hot girl walk, you know, just making sure you're actually actively moving. Because I know sometimes when you like go into study, you can sit at the seat for like 2, 3, 4 hours straight just doing work. So making sure you're actually getting outside, just making sure your health is one of your top priorities.
Right. Yeah. And then I know like HelloFresh, she's a HelloFresh girl.
HelloFresh girl.
And you can get like 2 weeks worth of food for $50.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
and I think that's pretty useful for like college students. Like even if you're a first year, because I know I went to Walmart 2 weeks ago and I spent like $120 on groceries, and you can't do that every day.
Right.
And so like utilizing resources like that, or like even the dining hall, trying to pick like the healthier options. Like you may get a salad. I know in Rocky Top you can get all the toppings you want, top it with some carrots, top it with some eggs. Or like we have the lean grill at the 3rd floor, like that targets like the top 8 allergens, and it's probably better than eating a hot dog or a hamburger every day. So there's like ways to like avoid that, but it's just like discipline.
Yeah. I know we also have the Big Orange Pantry in the Student Union. They have free ingredients and stuff like that. So just going in there and like looking around what you can make happen.
Right. So what is your vision for the organization? What do you want it to look like? What is a goal that you want to achieve by the end of, let's say, next semester?
Yeah, so since we're just starting off, just a lot about like establishment, like being able to collab with, you know, those resources that we talked about, like the College of Arts and Sciences and like pre-health advising, and just ensuring that this community that we started off like with this idea does go beyond even when we're like not even around. So like not even just next semester, but like next year and the year after, just making sure that this is always a space for women of color who are pursuing these careers in healthcare to feel like they do have that safe space. And then also like with the resources, like connecting us with established physicians, just making sure that we're able to still do things like that and still know that like this is attainable. Yeah.
Yeah, and alongside that, just making sure that there's opportunities, like Alexia had said. I know something we're really trying to focus on this semester is clinical hours, because even if you're not taking the MCAT, if you're not going to medical school, clinical hours are really important if you want to be in any type of health career, whether that's shadowing a physician. And I know I scribe back home in Murfreesboro, like basically like following a doctor, taking their notes for them, just any experience within the field that you want to get into, that's really important. That's what we really want to stamp.
Right. So how does somebody join the organization?
Yeah, so we have an Instagram, and it's NSBWM _UTK. We also have an email, NSBWMUTK at outlook.com. And then
We can always put a graphic up, so don't worry if you're like messing it up.
And then Vollink, like if you want to join, like you're someone who's watching and you want to join the organization specifically, you're able to log into Vollink, type in National Society of Black Women in Medicine, and you can request to join the organization. That way you can receive updates about when we have meetings, community service opportunities, things like that.
Yeah, and our membership application is also in our Instagram bio, so when you get to the Instagram, make sure to fill out the application.
What are the requirements to join?
3.0 GPA, healthcare, like we're open to any major. So we say that we're medicine exclusive, but not medicine inclusive, not medicine exclusive. So regardless of your major, like I'm a nutrition major, she's a BCMB major,
Right.
but we're like all interested in healthcare. So yeah, 3.0 GPA, interested in healthcare, woman. Yeah.
Just the basics.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming here, having the conversation. Yeah, the organization, I'm so glad I got to hear about it and your perspective. And like I said, you guys shouldn't feel the responsibility of the demographic, but just representing it. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for watching Vol Talk. I'm Ali la Rosa, and we'll see you next week.